fucking lying.
Lying. Quit.
Stop fucking lying. Okay, Alex. Welcome.
Niko.
Alex.
Niko.
Welcome.
Niko.
So,
I'm funny.
We are doing this now. Let's do a 1-1, 1 2 2 3 3 4 4 5 5 6 6. No, 6 6. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Go. Who starts? Me? Okay.
Yes, you shall start.
Guitars.
You should. Are
Fantastic.
in
Presenting.
the
Crazy.
enlightenment
Off.
love.
Sorry. That's why we strive to.
Call it the blues. Mama.
Excellent. Perfect intro to a perfect episode we are striving to do this time. In English again, back to popular demand. Not really, but...
Not really, but given that we're so international,
Yeah.
I mean,
We are cosmopolitans. We like the drink.
cosmopolitans.
Today,
You know what I'm saying.
Today, I am drinking a beverage of my choice. This time, FS Pilsener, Mediterranean beer from Germany, but I think it's actually Turkish beer, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking? Are you drinking anything?
Founded in 1969.
Damn. Abbey Road again. How are we always doing this? Getting every single
I don't
topic
know,
back
it's
to
like-
Abbey Road.
It's like we're consciously deciding to see Abbey Road everywhere where we go.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, everywhere we go, always take Abbey Road with you. Everyone knows that song,
Classic song.
that gem.
Are you drinking anything?
Yeah, classic waddle. It's been a rough weekend.
Okay.
Woof woof.
Well, it was a rough Friday. That's for
Yeah.
damn sure. We celebrated Midsummer Night's Eve,
Yeah.
and
Nobody died.
nobody died, but it came close. Disclaimer: we are Finns, as you probably already know. We celebrated this day with a father, who is also Finnish
Father.
by
I kind of father.
default. Since we're both Finnish, he has to be in some way Finnish, right? We're both 100% Finnish.
We are completely Finnish. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's required.
It's required.
It's required.
Yeah. So,
At least according to the definitions.
well, then I'm gonna tell you one thing. Cheers.
Surks.
And yeah, great episode. That's
Yeah,
what I
we
hope
are. We are now in the midst of the summer. From now on, all the days will be shorter and nights will be longer again, until winter, when it reverses again.
Well, today is
Until summer.
Today's the longest day, right?
Yesterday was the longest day.
Oh, okay. I
So-
thought this was the 21st was the longest day.
I think it's due to the leap year thingy.
Okay. Interesting bullshit you're saying
Once-
there.
Once every 4 years, they have to put it one back, basically, because we are not turning
Any younger.
properly around the sun.
Alex, what is topic for this episode? The main topic.
Recent events.
Recent events. Good.
Yeah.
Good way of putting it, I think. We live in tumultuous times, not regarding or disregarding Corona, the coronavirus, right now. COVID-19. We are also in the midst of a, international revolution, basically. I guess you could call it that at least. Black people and associates, people who associate with
people of African persuasion,
allies who demonstrate against racism. I would say particularly against coming from policemen or police officers. So this is a complex topic. We know this,
and we are exactly the right guys to talk about
it.
For many people, our opinion doesn't factor in, and maybe it shouldn't in many cases because we are in no way experts.
No, we are not experts. This is the disclaimer. We are whiter than paper. We are better to do white balance on than the run-of-the-mill sheet of paper.
Yeah.
But
we are pale AF, as you say nowadays. SMH.
Don't let this fact hinder you to listen to our opinions on this stuff, because we do have some, and we think it's kind of important as well to talk about our opinions, because we think, even if we're not, even if we are Caucasian, we are not completely redundant concerning our opinions, at least on this subject.
I mean, in the case of the two of us, we share some commonality between discriminated groups, in that we are also not a part or born in the culture we grew up in.
Yeah,
and we have experienced parallel lives in some respects, but of course in a completely unique way, which is really hard to try to generalize, but that's generally a problem.
Yeah,
I think we'll get to that when we talk about
exactly
this topic anyway. But I think we both are of the view that there is no such thing as opinions that don't matter in this discussion. It's what's most important here is that we keep up a culture of good-hearted, fair game, conversation, and only that way we can make sure that we actually learn things and are not pushed into extremes or bubbles or echo chambers or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's I think the only way to really understand each other properly. And I especially think that this is a fact that is disregarded way too much, and I think it already starts to creep in the style of discussion people have.
I agree on that point as well. I don't know exactly where we should start on this topic. Do you have something in mind? I think it's a broad topic in general, but
well, we can maybe just try to summarize what has happened.
Yeah.
As far as we can discern it ourselves, and look from there. Maybe try to first get some broad, large resolution picture of the whole situation, and then we can start to go into details. Maybe.
Okay.
If we like.
Okay, so the some of the incidents that happened were directly triggered by events that actually cost the lives of some American black African American citizens. I think the main one, which people are making the poster child version of this whole topic is the killing of George Floyd. This was filmed on, I don't know if it was several cell phones or just one, but it was filmed the killing of this man was pretty brutal. I didn't even. I couldn't watch the whole thing. I really.
You did try to watch it?
Yeah, well, yeah, at least parts of it, yeah. Well, basically, the gist of what happened was a police officer stood or put his leg. Well, he didn't stand. He pressed his knee down the neck of a black man of George Floyd, and for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, 8:46 or something like that.
And as a result of this, he died.
He passed out and died. Yeah.
And the reason why the police officer did this, well, we don't know. But what George Floyd had apparently done was used a counterfeit bill. I think it was $20, and the store clerk or store owner called the police on him, and basically that's when that happened.
Altercation happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Seems. Yeah. I mean, when you look at the facts, it sounds very unbelievable, and even digging deeper, it's just there's really nothing you can say to excuse any of what has happened there. It's just sounds completely ridiculous that something like this happens at all.
Yeah.
The kind of reaction to the crime committed and the apparent danger the suspect posed did not really justify in any way. Is not justified in any way.
No.
Many people consciously call it murder, and I think it's probably a fair assessment.
I think it's a trial. In trial, it is
second degree
murder. Yeah, that's what they are having this trial about on the basis of second degree murder. I think it was originally filed as third degree murder or something, but was adjusted to second degree murder.
Manslaughter, I think, wasn't it?
Manslaughter is maybe.
I don't know what it's.
Third degree murder is manslaughter. I'm not sure about the
definitions.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm not sure about the definitions of this whole judicial system in the USA, but yeah, that's Alex is researching this right now.
Second degree murder and findlaw.com is when defined as an intentional murder that lacks premeditation, is intended only to cause bodily harm and demonstrates an extreme indifference to human life. So they aren't being accused of having wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am not going to judge on whether that's the case or not. And I think nobody who is there, who's only been only there as an outsider is able to judge that aspect. That's really something you can only decide in the court of law, because I don't know. This is generally a problem. You can't read people's minds.
Yeah.
And the law somehow is our attempt to try to discern whether premeditation existed or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, intentional killing without premeditation. I forgot. I don't. Or maybe premeditation means that it was planned.
I think that's what that means. If you went out seeking this person with the back thoughts of actually murdering this person, I think that's first degree murder. Yeah. That sounds at least like it could be the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this whole thing sparked even more general discussion about racism. Beside the fact that beside the protests and riots that ensued in
Minneapolis.
Yeah, and other parts of the country too.
Well, I think in every single state, in the major cities, maybe even in every almost major city. I think this is
demonstrations, yes, but not riots necessarily.
Oh, okay, riots. You said riots. Yeah, riots. Riots happened at the, well, the places where you would expect them, I think. Many people have been taking the free time to take part in these demonstrations, and the riots actually, they reminded me very much of LA 1992, when the beating of Rodney King took place. I don't even know if it was 92. The riots were in 92 at least.
Rodney King acquittal.
Yeah.
1991.
Well, okay.
That's when he was
beaten.
Beaten. Yeah. And 92, the acquittal was probably then.
Yeah. Five policemen took part in this beating of this person, of Rodney King, and were later acquitted of all charges, which resulted in major riots throughout LA, costing, I think, 58 to 62 lives. I don't remember the exact number, but a mad amount of deaths, just those riots. And I saw the documentary LA 92, which I actually think is a... Oh no. There we go. Well, as I was saying, we just had some technical problems. We're back.
Profanities. Technical profanities.
Basically, what I was saying was this. I think this documentary is kind of a good documentary to just get the gist of what happened there. There's no commentary. It's just the pictures, the television segments, additional videos, and that's basically all they're showing. They are underlying this whole this footage with music that really stirs up emotions. I think that's one thing I can say about the documentary.
Emotive music.
Maybe you could call it that. But it's interesting to see the way this whole thing went down, and it's horrific to see. It's really, really, really bad. What people were doing to each other in that place in Los Angeles to each other is absolutely horrific, and that was my worst fear actually when I started seeing these riots, that things may go down that route. I think people have actually died. I don't know how many right now in this situation, but I don't think it has reached the levels of that incident. Let's not call it incident, of that
gravitas. Gravity, I don't know, of that scale.
Yeah. Still,
weren't there also riots following in the late 60s?
Yes, there were. Definitely there were.
70s?
No.
But they were also following the assassinations of... Who were they? Martin Luther King?
Malcolm X?
Or it was during the course of that? I don't know. Malcolm X, and who else? Another person. I forget. Yeah. So, well, another part which I 1968 Washington D.C. riots that was following Martin Luther King's assassination.
Yeah, this was 50 years ago, and these things.
So this is a.
These things take.
This is a problem.
Yeah, you say.
Yeah, this is a problem which has been going on for decades now.
Yeah.
Or the sentiment, the tension between the perceived treatment of black people by law enforcement and justice system, and and the reaction there too.
Looking at these things, you could say, or you could think maybe, not much has changed then. Do you think we have made progress in this time? Well,
that's indisputable. That's just indisputable. Yeah. The thing with progress is it's extremely slow, and you will not be able to give a pinpoint some turning point as a date, hardly ever in terms of progress. Unlike, I don't know, something like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 or something, or Voters' Rights Act or something, what they are called, which are basically historic dates in a certain respect, or I don't know, at the ending of slavery, Emancipation Proclamation of the 13th Amendment, or now Juneteenth, as many have been talking about. Have you? Do you know?
I've heard that that term, but what does it mean?
It refers to the date of 19th of June, 1865, I think, when Union, the United States forces took over, I think, the last places in the Confederate States and freed the last slaves, so to say.
Okay, I see.
But I'm not exactly sure if that's exactly the right. It has to, it's at least seen as the effective end of slavery or something.
Yeah.
So it's of course remembered very profoundly right now. But also parallel to this whole thing is also a complete meta discussion about racism in itself. So we now talking about racism here in our necks of the woods.
Yeah, in Germany.
Everywhere in the world. Now we can only talk for Germany exactly, but we also hear from Finnish friends when they post things about Finnish racism and
yes,
I don't know. You get a bit of a picture of Europe. What you don't really hear about is what the situation is like in the Middle East or Asia or.
Well, I did see some pictures on demonstrations taking place in Japan, in Tokyo specifically. There were some pictures floating around the internet where they were taking this kneeling position, which was well, I wouldn't say popular because it wasn't popular, but it was very well documented in NFL, National Football League games. People taking stands for black people being killed by policemen. Yeah.
Police brutality.
Police brutality. Yeah. Police brutality in general. That's true. Yeah.
I think. While both discussions are worthwhile, I really fail to see how you get something useful out of both discussions if you try to mix them all up here. So I think it is a lot more sensible to have this meta discussion about racism separately from the acute police violence issue, because people do say that the reason for all of this is some deep ingrained cultural racism that still exists, and that's one of the way it manifests. While that is probably the case, if you want to acutely, for example, solve the problem of police brutality, the discussion about racism itself will not change anything acutely. And that's not the place to start if you want to get real reforms. So if you want to try to solve racism as it is, that's a separate discussion, I would say. And so, well, I mean, for us, it's also very difficult to have any clear picture of the situation in the USA because we have never lived there. We haven't really had have no especially good education in American history. I think better than most people, because we have some interest with American culture, especially in terms of pop culture.
Yeah.
And American history is in a way world history since the 20th century, and also before a little. So there is some background knowledge that we have acquired through during our lives, but it would be also stupid of us to make have any strong opinions on this matter.
Yeah.
What I would mainly like to get off my chest in this is the discussion culture and the factualness of some of the claims that are made, or lacking mention, or I don't know, context taking in a certain extent. The one thing that I was very annoyed about was during as the riots unfolded after the protests, that many people or a handful of influencers on Instagram or on the internet generally spoke out against the riots, and the way the public reaction was on that, it was completely, I think, abysmal. It was completely, you get your priorities straight. People are killing about black people are killed by police, and you worry about riots. I don't know how that triggered me so much. These kinds of fucking shit arguments that people made. It's I mean, there's a really easy case to be made why riots are bad, because that will only make everything worse, because you have destroyed shops and income for the community. Now that there have been riots there, these areas are not going to be very valuable property anymore. Shops aren't going to reopen there necessarily anymore. So the living conditions in these communities is going to just worsen.
Yeah.
And even in the long run. Yeah. So it's not something that is just an acute problem. They can build up their shops. It's just property,
that's
man.
True.
That will have a long-term effect. Yeah. So it's and that's in their own communities. So it's not like they are destroying white communities or something.
No,
and
that's an interesting point, actually. They're destroying their own community. So
it's completely legitimate to try to remind people of the fact that rioting will not help. Then another argument which is
wait, before you continue, yeah. I want to say something just to make this clear. I don't, at least, I can't talk for you, but I don't think these riots take anything away from the demonstrators who are peaceful, by the way. I don't think agree with that's not what we're saying. I think many people, this is what I read in these social media messages and stories and posts as well, that it doesn't, that it shouldn't take away. Of course it doesn't. I don't think it does. This is not what I'm not saying demonstrations are bad. I took part in the demonstration myself. If I would have thought these demonstrations are stupid, I wouldn't have taken part in that. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, to add to your point, it's possible to share one opinion about something and still be supportive of the general cause.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we've heard this argument often also thrown at us in the topic of veganism. Is there are a lot of bigger problems in this world? Why are you focusing on how we treat animals? And okay.
Good point, yeah.
For us, I would even argue that it's maybe not a minor point compared to the immense scale of things, but that's beside the point. Yeah. You can still... So, being mindful of facts, not just ignoring them because they are not as important, and let's admit they're not important on an intuitive level. The impression of how important these effects are is completely based on your own intuition and not on the actual facts of the matter.
Yeah.
So people will not people don't scale the urgency or the impact of things on the actual urgency or the impact they have, but on the availability with which they come up in your head.
Yeah.
How much they can be how much anecdotes they have about it, or stories or personal experience with it, and not the general facts and numbers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And people will often say that this is somehow speaks against facts and numbers somehow. It doesn't. It just means we are really bad at judging these kinds of things just from our gut alone.
Yeah.
That's just one of the biases, cognitive biases all humans share.
Yeah.
But also a second point which was made to the rioting thing was a quote by Martin Luther King, which was, when I'm going to butcher it slightly probably, but it was something along the lines of rioting is the voice of those which have been silenced. I'll look it up. MLK quote riots. Probably. The quote is, a riot is the language of the unheard.
Okay.
And
yeah.
And the sentiment which accompanies this quote is, when have peaceful riots really worked? Sometimes you need violence and things like that for a change to happen.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I can say three things. This quote is on its own useless. From this, you cannot get the idea that Martin Luther King supported rioting. It's a complete quote mine to take that as such. Second, no protest, no movement has ever been completely peaceful. Of course not. That's but to judge whether peaceful protests work is to see what aspect of a protest got the job done, and not just like, look, there was some violence here, some violence there, and in the end we got our goal, so therefore violence works.
Yeah.
If we look at, we need to disentangle this a bit more and see, okay, which aspects probably contributed more to this working, and here you can very clearly see the less violent, the more effective the change was, because it was a lot easier to win over the hearts and minds of people. And people may say, I don't care if racists don't agree with me. Well, given even beside the fact that they're probably not just racist for disagreeing about some detail of yours,
that's important.
It's also just the fact that if they make up a substantial amount of the population, you will not get past their support in a democratic, in a society general.
Yeah.
And so we need to understand this, be mindful of, if we want change, then we need to understand what things hinder this from coming to fruition. And also, sometimes you need violence. I can think of no really, really good example of that, where it's unambiguously clear. Just thanks to the violence of that we were prepared to be violent, and that we actually stirred up enough mayhem that people started listening to us, or something like that.
Well, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
People are free to write a good example in the quotes if they like, but these kinds of knee-jerk emotional reactions to posts, even if they seem like one-sided and maybe slightly ignorant or something, going on a temper tantrum, so to say, making shit quotes, things that you have probably never checked yourself, and then, best case, even throw some slurs at them, your favorite something ist, then you will not get anywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a thing that is worse in this racial discussion, or that's where people thinking about racism are especially stupid or something. I think that's just always a problem with discussion, and we need to be unapologetic about how we want to have discussions,
Okay.
and not let shit discussions ruin it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
So that was one aspect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, or can I say something now?
Yeah. Well, if you that's what I wanted to get across from the social media aspect, but
Yeah. Okay. There's
we
more
can-
on social media from my side, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, one thing that really bugged me, well, not the sentiment. Well, the sentiment was good. You know, racism is bad. I'm not denying that. It is bad. The way it is being handled, and this is especially true. This is something especially I've learned now doing research for this podcast today, this episode. The way this is being done, there's a definite right and then definite wrong way of doing it, but everybody has their own kind of standard of what right and wrong is. Many of those so-called anti-racists, as I would call them now, they are very similar in stance, I think, somehow, at least the ones I have come across. But and this I wanted to name drop one person who we also talked about on Friday night on Midsummer.
Let me guess.
Guess.
Let me guess. John McWhorter.
John McWhorter, no.
Okay. Well, no. What did you want to say then? Who did you want to name drop?
No. Yeah, John McWhorter. I pronounce his name Horter. Water?
I think it's John McWhorter.
Okay.
But maybe it's John because it's spelled with a W at least.
It is spelled with a W. Yeah, John McWhorter.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
He's a linguist, by the way. Lisa has met him or seen him on a conference once.
Oh, no way. Nice.
Yeah.
He's a celebrity.
Yeah. Cool, right?
It's very cool. Well, this guy discussed. Well, there was this. We'll put the link in the description. He had a discussion with I think several other people, or just one. I don't remember really. But the point he had, and he's black, by the way. Because this seems to be something important. He compared the new wave of anti-racism, as I would like to call it now. There's a more specific term for that, but the new
anti-racism with a capital A, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you could. The anti-racism which takes part in our culture right now. That anti-racism. He compares it to religion, and especially things like terms such as problematic. Your stance is problematic. He says there's no difference in that word than saying something is blasphemous, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. You kind of shut down the discussion, a ferocious discussion you could have by saying that. You're basically saying, shut the fuck up. I'm right, you're wrong. Listen to this. This is dogma.
Problematic is really just a word. It's overused, definitely.
I can't hear it anymore. It triggers me when I just hear the word now. It's become tainted for me.
It's lazy. It's a lazily used word.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have made sense in its conception or in the beginnings, but I think because people are generally not that great at thinking rationally about shit. There are lots of people who now just throw it around like I don't know, because they mistake. I feel uncomfortable with this opinion, and then therefore call it problematic or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's some mind reading business that I generally don't like doing in general. But I just can't see how people can see that just throwing in the word problematic somehow makes their argument better.
Yeah. And
and I also took the analogy of privilege as the original sin.
Good one.
Which I found also quite an interesting concept.
Very good.
Because
and also the the term privilege, but also the goal of getting over with racism. Nobody has any idea how that would look. What are we really working towards?
What's the vision?
What's the vision?
I mean,
what's the ultimate vision you want to?
And there I would also just say that the vision cannot be absolutely no racism.
Yeah.
It's like a vision, absolutely no murder or absolutely no violence or whatever. You cannot get in a really big world with billions of people in it, a world where nobody is discriminating against people due to outer characteristics or arbitrary characteristics.
Yeah.
Especially
this world will never exist
when we have just innate urges to other people. If they are too unlike us, we somehow directly associate moral value or lack thereof to them. That's something which is ingrained in our DNA, basically.
And this does not mean that these people aren't bad. This murderers and racists and stuff like that, they are despicable people. At least the things that they do are despicable deeds, and this doesn't excuse this. This doesn't mean we have to strive to reach a less racist world. This just means that there are definite problems which we will never overcome. And this is something we have to keep in mind.
We have to keep the church in the
village, as you say in German.
No, well, it sounds a bit condescending to say it that way, but I mean, I think it has to be internalized, this fact.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't see any alternative vision than to constantly strive for less.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we can hope for.
That's all we can hope for.
Constantly strive for less.
Exactly.
And it's also it's shit that then there will always be people who have to suffer due to this, the fact that some group of people or some individuals discriminate against them, and that makes their lives harder, and that way it's very true, this whole concept of privilege, and it needs to also be understood by many people. But I think I understood how privilege makes sense, not from anti-racists or also feminists or whatever, when they talk about male privilege, or I don't know. They have never done a decent job of explaining it, because for them it does really sound like original sin. Sometimes it's like you have privilege, therefore you're disqualified, or you need to atone for that somehow.
Yeah.
And privilege means you can guarantee that if he belongs to this group, then he will have it better. And those kinds of statements are just not feasible.
Yeah, this is true.
Privilege is a statistical statement, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It means I am more likely as a straight white male person to experience less discrimination, less problems in my life. But if I'm unlucky, or if I make bad choices or whatever, I may have a worse life than some person of a marginalized
black,
group.
Gay, Jewish,
trans.
Yeah, the most marginalized person imaginable. Left-handed.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, those are the worst. No.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've said it a few times, and people roll their eyes a little when I say that. But you can narrow me down to 100. There are probably only 100 people that share these three attributes like me in the world.
Okay, which ones?
That I'm a Fenno Swede.
Okay, yeah.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
and I'm vegan.
Alex,
Because
you're the new age marginalized person.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it's of course a bit tongue in cheeky, but
Yeah, of course. I hope nobody takes this this thing to offense. But if you are, then I'm sorry. That's your own problem. It's kind of you making your own life more miserable by being like that. That's one thing. Some people need to.
yeah, its attitude also makes a problem worse than it is.
Yeah.
It's I mean you see it in small things like when you I don't know try to learn something an instrument and you're completely tense and frustrated that you're not learning it, and then you relax a little and try again, and it's somehow just flows through.
Yeah.
Because your attitude has changed a little. Or I don't know, when you also maybe I don't know, you notice it. My experience with it was in school during school time or in my years of as I went to school. In the first 3 years of secondary school, I was not that self-confident about my abilities in school, and when we had moved back to Germany, because I'd forgotten most of my German, or not most, but a lot of it.
Yeah. Same for me actually.
And then I had when we changed classes, in the second half year, second semester, I got more than 2 sehr guts on my
Which is an
A's
8. Yeah.
on my report. So 3 or 4 or something. And I go, whoa! I actually can do this. And then after that, I just had this attitude that I'm able to get good marks. Maybe it's also a feedback loop that teachers who see that you have good grades will give you better grades. Lisa told me about a study where a teacher was randomly, the students were assigned random grades prior to getting a new teacher, which didn't correspond necessarily to their actual grades, and they were graded more in line with the grades that the randomly assigned grades than the grades they had previously.
Repeat that? I didn't understand that. That really.
So the grades they got after that school year or the term or whatever corresponded more to the random grades they were assigned, or the teacher thought they had, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Than the grades that they had before.
Okay.
So if they were good students and were given a bad grade randomly, their grades dropped significantly as well.
Interesting.
But I don't know about the sample size. I don't know about the whole setup of the experiment.
Still interesting.
I can imagine that plays some role too. Yeah. But back to
the topic,
the discussion
the
at hand.
original topic. I wanted to talk about the side topic of this topic, basically, which, well, there are many stupid things being spread around the internet right now, but I think this one has to be one of my. This one makes me most sad, actually, because it's about cultural appropriation. And in my opinion, I don't know if I'm being stupid for having this opinion, but I want to still say it. We can discuss about this. We can discuss my opinion right here, because that's what this whole thing is for. But I think, in many ways, cultural appropriation actually brings us forward as a society, well, as human people, as a human species. Looking at especially arts and technological advancements. I think that covers really many things already. These things are good to be spread around. If it works, why shouldn't other people do it? So I read this horrible post on Instagram. I think it's a she. I don't. He or she. They said cultural appropriation is, amongst other things, costumes, locks, braids, slangs, music, hip hop and rock, art, jewelry, hats are basically garments for the head of any kind, clothing and symbols, so design basically. These are things which should not be appropriate from other cultures. I think that's so fucking stupid. If you think about what life would be like without cultural appropriation, it would be a fucking sad life. Think if the Beatles, now back to the Beatles again, if the Beatles wouldn't have appropriated black music, which rock and roll most definitely is, we would not have A Day in the Life. We would not have Beach Boys playing Surf's Up. We would not have all these white musicians playing these wonderful tunes, which really have made my life much better. This is such a stupid way of thinking, in my opinion. What is your stance on this?
Well, I'm starting with my weakest, with my most undisputable points, I think, and then going to my most controversial one, because I'm also not a big fan of the whole idea of cultural appropriation being bad. The thing is, as you said, there have definitely been many really good things that have come out of cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Not only for us privileged people.
Yeah.
For everyone in the world.
Yeah.
So there isn't also some good things that have come out of it, and I would also agree that the effect is in it good. So the problem with cultural appropriation, as I see it, is it's basically seen as a disrespect for other cultures. You don't understand enough about it. You use it in a way, that careless way, and that makes them feel marginalized again. But we need to also say more precisely what marginalized will mean in this sense. It maybe makes them feel that they're made fun of.
Yeah.
That they don't belong because they're different.
Yeah.
Or but also it's just this point of it's my culture and my culture belongs to me.
Yeah. Well,
and I think this last sentiment is complete and utter bullshit.
That's the sentiment.
Cultures. I don't see
any most as well. Yeah.
I don't understand the real also the. I don't see how it's a tenable position to say that culture belongs to some people, or I mean that's basically also what a white supremacist could say about their culture and everything.
That's true.
And okay, you can't. They can't say it because they're privileged or what? No, it's a shit argument across the board. And cultures are things that are not people. Cultures are not people. Cultures can be used or abused and misused, legally speaking, and also to a large extent socially speaking, as much as you like, because I don't think cultures deserve inherent respect. Cultures should things that cultures do, their traditions, their ways of life, deserve to be treated on their merits and not on the fact that they are their culture. So this whole sentiment that you can appropriate someone's culture is, to me, already in and of itself a little bit nonsensical.
Yeah, well,
the whole discussion should be a lot more based around how to properly appropriate.
Yeah, well,
maybe
there definitely is a despicable instance of cultural appropriation in history of time. Of course, there are. Yeah. Best one, right off the top of my mind, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Who played that Chinese guy? Stereotypical Chinese guy. Well, in the wrongest way possible, and inherently disrespectful. Definitely, I thought that it makes me really. That film is super uncomfortable to watch in general, but because of many scenes, not because the film is sucks.
Iwai Yudiyoshi was his name. Mick Rooney played
Mick
him.
Rooney, yeah, Mick Rooney.
Played a Japanese American
Mickey Rooney.
landlord.
That's a great example of disrespectful cultural appropriation, and I think that's something that should be criticized. But just saying that all of it is bad, that's what I
wonder
what
it was like then, if it did function as somehow bringing the Japanese American culture into more consciously into the lives of Americans or something, or if how it was intended when they made it. I mean, it seems it seems really weird
Alex,
to see.
Think about the time.
You cringe a lot when you see it.
Think about the time, Alex.
Yeah,
it definitely, they weren't the Americans' friends back then. They were definitely.
That was 1958.
People who were definitely
1961.
not liked by Americans back then. And the way that characters...
Sure, but maybe Hollywood was trying to be progressive. I don't know what the idea was. I'm just throwing it in there.
Okay, maybe.
I wonder if there is anything they were thinking back then.
Yeah, maybe.
I would really be interested what it was that they were thinking.
Because I assume
Hollywood generally is not has never been the enterprise or the place where you wanted to get through good old conservative values, or maybe it has only changed recently. I don't know.
I think that has changed recently a lot as well. I think that's also something that one has to take into account when I'm talking about this, because we have made progress also in this department. I don't want to say that I'm completely right about this right now, but I think that was actually meant to be disrespectful, because the aftermath of the Second World War was still kind of just around the corner, and they were definitely the enemies back then. And this is not the only case that happened back then. So I'm just gonna go on a limb and say that could possibly have been meant as a disrespect. But things have changed in that term as well. I
mean, Japanese Americans were sent to internment camps during the war. 112 110 to 120,000 Japanese
God
Americans.
damn, that many?
Yeah.
In USA?
When did they receive reparations for that? Reparations and redress. The beginning of the 1960s only they begin to get reparations for that. The ones who were interned.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, then the 60s was probably still a time where it was open season to make fun of Japanese, maybe.
Well,
yeah.
Many things in the 50s were kind of sketchy in Hollywood. There was also the time of denunciation of communists.
McCarthy
era. And that's also a reason why we never got to see another great film, probably of Charlie Chaplin, because he fled the country, because some people spread the rumor that he may have been associated with the Communist Party, and there was a literal, well, not a literal witch hunt, but a witch hunt going on. To make the American to make American ideals more popular in American films.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the Red Scare was very prominent. Yeah. I mean, I think there was a bit of a need to try to show why capitalism was a worthwhile alternative to communism, because for young people, socialism and communism seem like a lot more fair ideas. And I mean, in my opinion, capitalism is gets a pretty bad rap in many things which it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, I agree.
Beside the things that do arise due to capitalism, but there are things in which capitalism does inarguably improve the state of the world, the state of the lives of people. I mean,
maybe this is a topic for another episode as well. We could do an episode entirely on that one as well. That would be an interesting episode.
I mean, anti-capitalism is also very popular. Is deeply ingrained in anti-racism in feminism oftentimes too. They see capitalism as a driving force of the inequalities that we experience. And I've never been really convinced of that part, because the way I understand capitalism, that's not what capitalism can results in. It's the weird mixture of capitalism and the government and the power of lobbyism and things like that, which may or may not exist in a capitalistically run world, but it's also a thing that can happen in other forms of economic economies,
structures.
I don't know how to call it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more complicated often, but yeah.
Well, generally, you can say this whole topic is complicated. This is one of the main things I want to also point out. It's not straightforward. This whole situation is not straightforward. Just pinpointing this is the enemy. This is what needs to be done. This is not just one thing that needs to be done. There's many different things that could lead to the situation which we have right now.
To me, the discussion always seems to be we see these and these and these things, and they are consistent with our point of view, therefore we're going to propagate it. But in each case where you look at these problems that they list as problems, and you dig deeper, it gets really a lot more complicated fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people don't take the time to actually do proper education in this topic.
Think people are looking for easy answers. That's one of the main things. They want to, I see this is the problem. This must be the only problem. I don't know if this is the way people think, but could be.
It's people have a weird fetish for simple explanation which can explain everything.
Yeah.
The simpler the better, the more wide-reaching the effects, the better. And if there is some superficial logic to it, then they'll just stick to it.
Okay, Alex.
But,
say that point. Say that point, and then I want to say something. Continue.
I think the butt didn't really have any anything worthwhile.
The butt didn't have a plug.
I just paraphrased it.
The butt didn't have a plug.
Exactly.
I want to basically start to finish this whole topic because we have two other topics to talk about. But since we already talked about it in the beginning concerning our experiences with discrimination, as you talked about, you said maybe we will talk about it later. Let's finish with that and get to the next topic. What do you think about that?
Before we do that, can I give one thought about what we were previously still talking about?
Yeah, sure.
Which came into my mind as you spoke. You are not a good critical thinker if you only listen to... Yeah, you.
Okay.
If you only listen to the opinions and ideas of people in your political and social in-group.
Mm.
Especially here, you need to know, for example, also what the non-leftist voices are saying, because they are not all just evil people who don't have, or ignorant people who don't have an understanding of it. They have just a different approach, and they can also be very valuable to understanding deeper issues. And to the audience in terms of racism and anti-racism, I would definitely urge them to listen to John McWhorter or read about his things, and also another person called Coleman Hughes, who also is an African-American guy who has written extensively about these things. They make you realize that things that you thought were obvious and simple are not as obvious and simple as you put it, as you think.
We can put links to those people in the description as well.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, personal experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that most I found that I think of right away is.
I'm kind of guessing it's the same thing as I'm going to say, but
it's kind of two things. One is making jokes about Finland being a third world country.
Okay.
But I never thought they were really bad. But they, do you have electricity in Finland? I mean, sometimes I wasn't sure if they were serious about that, but they thought basically, Soviet country, but it was never a Soviet country. But, and I mean, also then positive discrimination about Finns being hardworking and straight to the point and reliable, and they're the best friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I also join in these things because it's fun. I think it's fun to talk about the habits of
I do that too, definitely, yeah.
Groups, because we all though we may think of us as individuals, follow behavioral patterns, and getting them shown to you, or having shown how other people perceive your behavioral patterns is always quite interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But that's maybe also my personal taste, maybe. The most negative experience for me basically has been being referred to as the Finn here and being referred to as the German in Finland, so always being an outsider.
Basically having no identity, really. Well, that kind of identity, at least.
Yeah, no national identity in that sense. Yeah. And in the end, I thought that was actually good for me.
Yeah.
That's also one reason why I don't value culture as an intrinsic great thing, that's somehow as sacred or something. I just adopted things from German and Finnish and English culture, and the things I liked, and throughout the things I didn't, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm allowed to do it for these because I grew up there or lived or was born there or something, but still, it's and it's also just 3 Western European countries, but I would they are sufficiently different in some of the habits that I think I have some semblance of knowing what I'm talking about when I don't value culture that much.
Yeah. That's all, or do you have anything?
Well, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I think one thing that you probably don't experience that much, but I do. I get this all the time.
Yeah, of course. I've experienced that too. Yeah.
People when I speak German, people immediately assuming that I'm from Holland or the Netherlands, and then
to Dutch,
and then imitating some kind of famous Dutch Rudi Carrell most of the time, and I don't think I sound like that at all, and it goes on my nerves fucking much, I hate it. I hate it when people do that. But I try to keep calm because I kind of understand why they do it. They don't see that as disrespectful, and I don't think it's disrespectful. I just think that if somebody says it and keeps on doing it, and then I say, okay, listen, buddy, I really don't want to. really don't want to talk about this subject anymore. So can we just leave it? And then they keep on doing it. That's when I get angry, a little bit at least.
Yeah.
And these situations have happened at least. Not.
Yeah, therefore, I have sympathy also with this people complaining about. Oh, where are you from?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Yeah, exactly.
I understand the annoyance about that.
I understand that annoyance as well. As I said, I think that is also not meant to. I can't speak for every single person who says that, but I don't think that's meant to be disrespectful either. I kind of nowadays take it as something. I take a little bit of pride in it because I can have the bonus of being a little bit exotic, which can be
chicks dig that.
Can be an attractive trait, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, don't go wishing for the right chicks to dig it.
No.
If you know what I mean.
No.
Hashtag Johnny Bravo.
Hashtag Johnny Bravo. No, but I get that it can be annoying. I don't think people are some kind of new age Hitler if they ask where you're really from. But if you're born here and just look ethnic, and people ask you where you're really from, I understand how that can be really annoying. And I think the way
also is part of this privilege thing that people don't think into account enough.
I think people should just learn how to kind of convey that question in a better way. If they would ask me where are your parents from? Well, I am from Finland. You are from Finland as well, but maybe I don't consider myself really a Finn or a German. I am officially a Finn, obviously, and
I am both.
Well, I'm definitely both as well in my identity. I think most of all I'm German.
Even legally, I'm both.
You're even both. Yeah, legally that's true. Yeah. But for people who are actually born here and live here for all of who've lived here for all of their lives, having to being addressed with that question all the time. Yeah, maybe if you want to ask that question, ask where their family is originally from or something like that. I don't know what. I think many people actually prefer different things in this context. Prefer
many people
different approach, but
many people just also don't want to be reminded that they are not
Yeah.
German or whatever constantly, and I also dig that. But to some extent, I think it's just something which is unavoidable. You're going to run into that.
I have accepted it as being unavoidable as well. That's why I only.
What doesn't kill you just makes you stranger.
If that's why I say if this disrespect of my person continues to build up during a conversation over time, that's when I get angry a little bit angry. But otherwise, I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah. But you also experience it probably less than many, not obviously foreign people.
I look German. Nobody on the streets would ever say that. Well, he's probably from I don't know. From Holland.
Only if they were asked, maybe they were. Where do you think these two are from? They would maybe guess something like that because
they
I don't know. We have a little bit blonde hair, and maybe then I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
if they had to assume and say, okay, maybe they need to be. Why would they ask me this question if they aren't from some where? Yeah, that's probably that could happen. Yeah, that could happen.
But they could do it to many people.
They could do that to many people. Yeah,
there are many Germans which have. Typically Polish facial features, and I mean they probably also had ancestors who were Polish, and
maybe I even have a Polish name.
Yeah.
But looking at some of our friends, let's take Patrick, for example. I've heard people asking him if he's Spanish, and he is 100% German, and his parents couldn't be more potato than...
Oh, la. Sorry. I just thought my microphone turned off.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, but I think did you hear what I said?
Yeah, Patrick is 100%.
He's 100% potato, and his parents 100% potato as well. Potato is, by the way, a very racist term.
Kraut.
A racist term for German. Hey, I'm a potato. I can say that. I'm allowed to say it. I'm a potato as well. Okay, so.
Yeah, well, Finns are also potatoes.
Finns are probably more potato than Germans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't have.
They have anything else to eat there. Nothing grows there. Only potatoes.
Yeah. They grow more easily. At least. And they can be stored more easily, I think, as well.
Yeah. They can. I think...
Then some grains. But that's also why rye is very popular in Finland.
I think we'll leave it at this whole topic. And let's get to the next topic.
Yeah. Final words?
I think you the thing you said about critical thinking is a good afterthought. I think we will make an extracted clip of that as well. I think that's an important thing to get from this. Yeah.
I would also say learn critical thinking skills, because they will just help you generally through life, and apply them also to yourself, because, as Richard Feynman also said, you are the easiest to fool.
Yeah.
There's no person you can fool more easily than yourself. No. Don't forget that, ever. And also, try to assume always first that people coming to you are good-hearted, good-faithed people, even if it's not true. And one thing which ties critical thinking and this sentiment together is, when you want to criticize someone's position, don't make a caricature of the position and then criticize that.
That's a straw manning. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do the opposite, which is called steel manning, to try to formulate the position in your words to the other person, and reformulating it as long as he agrees that that's what that's your words fit describe what he thinks.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
start
thing.
from there.
That's a good thing to finish this whole segment off.
And if people are ill-faithed, just don't engage with them.
Mm.
I mean,
sometimes it's easier said than done, though. Fairly said, but one reason to people say to not to still engage is because, that will just mean that racism goes away if you just ignore it. If you ignore individual people who are shit, you will not get them convinced anytime soon. The thing is, only thing you can do is hope that people who followed this conversation or something, or other people you talk to, are convinced, and then they will spread it around, and then that's ideas will propagate that way. Mm.
It's a lot more effective to try to talk to people who are willing to be convinced.
Yeah. Maybe also another thing that one could say is follow by example.
Yeah.
I could say that by many things.
Yeah, be the thing that you want to see in the world.
It's cliche, but it's kind of true.
Yeah. I think we've given our two mustards to that.
Exactly.
We missed the mustard.
I think it's my turn to start with the next topic. I think these will have to be short because we're already running way over time. Do you think we can do these both in 10 minutes?
Maybe.
Okay, let's try.
Can we do a pee-pee pause during the music break?
Okay, let's do it. back, motherfucker.
Whoa, what a great song.
We're back.
Motherfucker.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's my
We're
turn
back
to start
for
with the topic, right?
Niko's topic.
Niko's topic.
Yeah.
Well, this is a pretty straightforward, basic topic, I think. It's about goals and achieving goals. I just wanted to maybe talk about goals in our lives and what we want to achieve in life, and if we have had problems with them, and what these goals are, what problems these are. Just to get this thing started, I have to actually be somewhere in half an hour, so we'll really have to rush through this a bit. But some goals, one major Mount Everest for me has been learning the specific skateboarding trick called the switch kickflip. I'm not going to go into detail what that trick is. I'll put a link in the description to a video which documents me trying to learn that trick. Then I think that will make that whole thing clear. It's in German, but the pictures speak for themselves. It's an amazing piece of cinema.
It is.
Well, it isn't, but it's it can be.
It's filmed by a camera owned by a very talented and skilled person.
Yours? You?
What?
Okay. Well, anyway, this skateboarding trick I've been trying to master since I think the end of 2017, which is the longest time, and I still haven't done it. I have definitely been more serious about it periodically throughout this time, and some things always come up, injuries, lack of time, things such as these, and I need to master this one in my lifetime. Otherwise, I will not be fully happy. At least skateboarding wise, I think if I'm doing this correct, I maybe have another 20 years maybe on my skateboard, but I'm not going to learn this trick in 20 years. I'm going to have to learn it in the next 10 years if my legs and muscles still want to hold up. I think I will have to learn also different aspects of skating, which will not be so weary on the bones later on. But this thing, the longer I've been struggling with this trick, the more of a presence it has become in my life as well. It's like the problem has become bigger over time, even though it's the same thing, and I have gotten better at it.
Do you think it fucks with you in any particular way?
In my mind, yes. In my mind, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So making it harder for you to make it, you think?
It could be. I think yes, but well, maybe this is.
I mean, that's
this is the
some pop psychology stuff right now.
Yeah, definitely. But maybe also thinking this is a problem as well. You know.
I mean, we already earlier talked about attitude. Also, shapes your perception, and or your perception shapes your attitude, and how then you will be able to perform on issues. I mean, earlier we alluded a little bit to that. So yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, before I want to. Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Before we carry on talking about some things that could be done about this, maybe. Okay. Now see, this is what I mean. You can't see this, but I can see it. Right. Okay, there we go. There was a reminder for me that there's a meeting in half an hour.
Half an hour.
Half an hour. Before I continue about talking about what could be done against this or for this, maybe you want to, if you have some. Do you have any problems which you?
Goal.
Okay, so tell me about that one.
In my adult career, or since I've been a decent runner. I've wanted to run certain distances in certain times, and I mean, the first one was always 5 kilometers in under 20 minutes, and that I mean that's was done rather early on because it's only 5 kilometers, and if you can build up speed with training, then that's not the big issue. And then there were the things that I managed to run, and so I finished the marathon in under 4 hours, which I had wanted. But the final thing that I have never done is made the 10 kilometers in under 40 minutes. There were always have been 2 big training sessions that I had where I was really in great shape and just ready to and then run some 10-kilometer race and get this official time of under 40 minutes, and I think I could have made it back then, but always during the course of the training I got problems with my legs and or back. So the first time I had knee problems which wouldn't go away, and then I had to stop my training, and I was actually pretty well on the way of making it. I had already run 7 kilometers in half an hour or something like that, which meant that 8 kilometers in half an hour, which would have meant that would have been also if I had run 10 kilometers way below 40 minutes. But then these knee problems came, and then I returned to running, was also in better shape again. And I tried the Silvestre, if you remember, 2015.
I was there as well, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was trying to get to under 50 minutes, and
it was fucking cold that day, and it was really not that great of a running day. I didn't make it then, and then
how much did you get? How fast were you?
42 or something.
Okay, you suck.
Yeah.
I think I was 48 or something, so still better than me. I don't remember what I was. Yeah.
But I was training. So,
yeah.
And then I got my back problems, which persist until now, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be able to finish this goal.
Okay, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. Coming to terms with that, well, I mean, I'm not that sad that I didn't achieve a goal. If I put in the work to make it before. So the reason why I'm probably going to fail at this is not because I didn't try and wasn't able. It was just that. I ultimately wasn't able long enough to pull through with it. It was failure of my makeup. Basically, I've got 2 bad genes to make it. Basically, and it wasn't for lack of trying. It wasn't due to procrastination or laziness or something, and therefore I don't see it as a failure in that sense.
Yeah. I think that's it's easy to come.
Trying to have this milestone kind of thing to commemorate this training is it's cool. It's cool to have that kind of official recognition for your ego and everything, but in the end, the process is a lot more important for your well-being, I would say, than the actual goal. At least for that.
That is a pretty true statement in my opinion as well, because it, as you could maybe see later on in the video I made about that trick, coming back to that one, I really tried my ass off, and I worked on it every single day for at least a month, and that was my challenge. I wanted to make it in I think 20 hours, and what I did was go skating each day for about half an hour. It wasn't every single day. We went to Finland that winter, so I think we were 5 days away, so I couldn't do it back in that time. But apart from that, I was pretty constantly doing it, and I came fucking close at the end as well. So that really annoys me that I was not able to build upon those successes which I had during that time. I tried it for
back to square one stuff basically.
Yeah, well,
right?
not really back to square one.
Square three.
I actually worked on a second video, which I still am determined to finish. The part 2 of that video, basically, where I'm going to make it. I've already started doing it. It's basically finished. I just need to land that trick, and it's not going to be released before I land it. So this may be in the vaults for a while, but still. I think what I need is some a time frame where I can really concentrate on that thing, and not much else, and have. So that means my schedule needs to be pretty free as well. The weather needs to be fairly good as well, unless I want to go, or unless I know some kind of indoor places where I can do these skateboarding moves. And since then I have gotten very close as well, but I've never had the real ultimate focus. I think that's the thing that really strangled my progression there. I found this homepage which deals with some things you can do to kind of make your progress more what should we call it? Successful? Efficient, yeah. Successful, yeah. And I would like to read you the 2 of the main points. Number 1, make time to reflect and think. I think this doesn't apply to every single goal. Maybe it does. What do you think?
I mean, in terms of that, maybe give your body time to reflect and think, basically, in that respect.
Yeah.
Because it's not something cognitive you have to learn. It's something I have that with also when I try to learn something on a musical instrument, that I try it and need some time for my body to incorporate these movements somehow into the automatism. I don't know.
So that means basically time for yourself, or time to keep your body to yourself, maybe also. I don't know. Maybe not keep it working on overtime, or maybe also this means this could be applied to not bruising your body, because if you're working on this thing every single day, and this is true for this thing that I want to accomplish, you will get. I at least did. I got bruises. I got sore legs, and if you train with sore muscles, I don't think this is a good way of moving forward. I think this is just something that will hinder in the long term.
Yeah, it just deteriorates basically. I mean, I think that my first injury or problem with my legs that I got in the beginning were probably due to overtraining.
Yeah.
I mean, I have rheumatism, and so one of the symptoms is pain in the extremities as well, not only in the back, where it's been diagnosed, but so it might have also been an early symptom, but I guess maybe a mixture of both. So you definitely need this time to I don't know, standby mode or something like that. Yeah, maybe.
Second point.
Regeneration time.
Regeneration time, exactly. Second point. Hold yourself accountable and write it down. Which I guess means writing down your the thing you want to. One thing I learned while doing filming that video back then was to make smaller goals, and then build upon with these smaller goals to reach that ultimate goal. And I guess that means write down these goals and work in a clever way, instead of with some kind of sledgehammer method. You can't get.
Hold yourself accountable is also, I think, maybe also then when you have goals that you stick to them and don't just flout everything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's
that you are determined and
you have to really want it. If you want to do it, you have to.
And serious about it.
You have to be serious about it. Yeah. I think we'll get to the next point. Organize and categorize.
I think that's more to your it's more similar to what you just said.
Yeah, probably. I think these two do go hand in hand though, because.
Well, everything goes a little bit.
Yeah, okay. that's good. Good point.
I mean, you will not be able to live them to do or realize these things in exactly these categorized ways as they are listed there. They will mix and meddle and everything anyway.
Yeah. Number 4 is I think one of my favorite points here. Assign deadlines. I think this is a good thing to do in general. If you know when you need to be done with something, you will make it happen somehow, at least more likely than if you just wing it and say, well, maybe next year I'm going to do that. If you have, I want to do this by the 31st of March. Then you will have the calendar. You'll see. Okay, I have these amount of days, and this is the time I physically have to accomplish this goal. Then you'll get the urgency and get the motivation to actually get shit done. I think.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I'm currently struggling to keep my deadlines anyway right now as we speak with my thesis and everything.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I definitely see the value in setting these. I mean, that also goes back to organization, but keeping yourself accountable. Deadlines is one of the manifestations thereof, but maybe one that needs to be mentioned because it probably is it works quite well.
Yeah.
To do it like that. But in a way, it follows from being accountable and being organized.
I think one thing that kind of said about deadlines as well is if it's not something physical, for example, like me and my brother here were trying to or are still trying to do. If it's something that maybe, I don't know, well, I guess learning guitar is also physical, but less harmful to the body. I think you can achieve goals in shorter time than you actually know. If you give yourself, I don't know, 2 months or 3 months to learn a song, I think that may be way too much time. If you it depends on how skilled you are already and what song it is, but you would be surprised if you give yourself less time, you will get more done in shorter time. You may not reach the sub goal or the goal you want to achieve, but you will have gotten maybe more done had you given yourself more time. It's a kind of weird to say this, but I think it actually is true.
I mean, I think it has a little bit to do with the fact that your plans never work out anyway. So if you set the bar a little bit higher than normally, then the degree to which you fail might be a little higher, but in the end, the absolute increase of or
ability
or improvement is then slightly more. Yeah. Of course, you shouldn't do so much that you get completely stressed out by the sheer immensity of your task. So there has to be some sweet spot. But kind of okay. I will learn to fly in 2 minutes.
Yeah, this will not work. Probably. I'm not saying it won't. No. Number 5. Go backwards. This guy says. He says it might sound weird, but I found that working backwards can be highly beneficial. When I write down a goal, I write down the ultimate end result that I'm aiming for. Then I back into the starting point. Actually, kind of interesting to see this, and this basically kind of is the whole breakdown thing. You know, what do you need to do to get to that end result? What is the maybe
requirements?
The requirement for that? What is the requirement for that? What is the requirement for that? And so on until you get to square one. It actually is a good
Yeah,
tip, actually.
Yeah, that should never be your style of argumentation. That you start with a conclusion and go backwards. But otherwise, I mean, if you want to set up a structure for something, I think it has to do with the fact that if you start very general, there are lots of avenues you can take, and you get distracted by what you could try, instead of if you really want some specific goal, there are lots of unnecessary things you could do.
That's true.
For that goal.
Yeah.
And if you work backwards from a specific goal, then you could probably
save some time,
pinpoint a lot more efficiently how you need to get there.
Yeah. Another good rule, which I I think it's a good rule. I learned this one from Tim Ferriss. He says an effective rule to learning stuff is the 80-20 rule. It could be also called the 70-30 rule. Basically is which few things, which 20% of things will do the most of the work. They get the 80% of the work done, basically.
It's usually a handful of things that get... I mean, that's also what we alluded to a little bit about when we talked about writing and everything, that there are a handful of things that did effective change, and then the 80% of shit that also were there. But
good point, yeah. Actually, good point, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Basically, this is all I wanted to address in this short mini topic. But I think it's important to keep people motivated, and I've assigned it to myself to be the most motivating person alive. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
That's your goal.
That's my goal.
Yeah,
you having a laugh?
What I would also say is, don't plan too far ahead in the future, because that's like trying to learn to fly in 2 minutes.
Yeah. That's true.
Having life plans is always tricky business.
It is tricky business. You will never know how things look in 1 month or in half a year or whatever.
Let alone 5 years or 10 years. Yeah.
You can maybe have dreams, and it's I think it's good way of giving
you general direction.
Get general direction, exactly. Yeah, because that's important thing to have, a general direction. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say. I want to. The only thing I wanted to talk about, and all I wanted to say about this topic. Should we go into your topic, or do you want to say anything? Okay, let's then.
The last thing I said was basically my.
Your final thought.
2 pennies.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, cue the music.
Ding.
There we go. That was fun listening to that one again.
I love this one. This is my favorite, I think.
Okay.
So mine is also very light-hearted.
By the way, we have 12 minutes. Go.
No problem.
No problem.
Mine is very light-hearted and not very serious. So, and it's also a good thing, a good one for the listeners. They can also give their input very much, as they can do for every aspect here of this podcast if they like. But I thought, since we have since summer began officially this weekend, and we're going to have 3 months of it now, and we're going to have to spend it outside most of the time anyway, in smaller groups and friends, and then we're going to have more like quieter things where you can get to listen to just music and chill and stuff like that. I thought about what kind of songs are essentials for summer playlists.
That's a good question, Alex.
Essentials and hidden treasures.
Okay.
Maybe.
Good question. Let's see.
So, if you like, do you want me to start with some suggestions?
Go for it.
I think an obvious one.
In the summertime, where the weather is fine.
Where the weather is hot, right?
Really? It doesn't rhyme with summertime.
No, but I think Here Comes the Sun is one.
Okay. Yeah.
Although it's also a spring song a little, but still. I mean, they sing, I see that ice is slowly melting, but still, I think it sounds very summery. Mr. Blue Sky, maybe, although that's maybe not a... it doesn't work all the time. I think it's because it's a bit too long and...
That's also a good spring song and a good winter song, actually, because it makes you long for the summer, actually.
Yeah. Then there's one which Sunny Afternoon is also probably one which you could take because it's like a hot summer day. Like, just sit here, sweat, and have a cold drink or something.
Yeah.
One that I have now included in my playlists for summer or feeling good is Bill Withers, rest in peace, Lovely Day.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
Then you can also always go through songs which have summer in it, so we can All Summer Long by Beach Boys.
Good one. I love that one.
Yeah. But one I also really like to listen to, it's like a little bit like a hidden treasure, is Saint-Tropez by Pink Floyd.
That's a good one as well. I like that one.
Yeah. And one really hidden treasure which I discovered that nobody really knew about really, but people always like also a little, is called Summer Madness by Kool and the Gang.
I wanted to say that one. I want to say that one as well. Yeah, of course, Summer Madness. Yeah.
So like for summer nights, I don't know. Like,
yeah. Oh well, no. Yeah. Summer afternoons. I think when the sun kind of slowly sets, and it's the kind of peak.
Dusk, you mean?
It's dusk. Yeah, dusk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when the peak level of, I'm done with today. I'm just going to lean back. That's when that song really is most effective, I think.
All right. I think it's most like nighttime summer nights music.
I think a good summer night song is actually
Summer Sun by Texas.
No. Electric Light Orchestra.
Night Rider.
Night Rider. Yeah. That one. Also a good summer song, and the sun perfectly now shines into my room. Sketch for Summer by the Dorothy Column. Do you know that song? Sketch for Summer. It's a good laid back song. Also, it's kind of similar to Summer Madness in the vibe, but it holds its own. It's a classic, I think. Also another song which is perfect for nighttime, summer night times, is Moonlight on the River by Mac DeMarco. You listened to that one with me live, Primavera 2017, when he was screaming like Bruce Springsteen, like ah!
Yeah, and took off his clothes.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one, I think.
And what was it called?
Moonlight on the River.
You know one which also is quite cool. Summer song which is I don't hear in many playlists is what is it? What's the band, the group called again? Everybody Loves the Sunshine.
Everybody loves the sunshine. Dum ba-dum.
Yeah. It's also like a hot summer day. I think.
My life.
I always think of when you know these videos where
Roy Ayers Ubiquity, by the way.
Where you have these summer montages that we used to have, and then you have this close-up shot of the sun, and it blurs. It's blurry in the camera because that's it's like hot and.
That's a brilliant pick for this thing. I think we should make a playlist out of this, also in the description later on. And one addition I want to make: "Feel It All Around" by Washed Out. Do you know that one? It's a kind of a chill wave song. Perfect for summer, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm noting it here.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone else has good suggestions for summer songs, I mean there are lots of them. But you can give your personal favorites, like things that you personally like and are not necessarily great for everybody.
Everybody.
But also but it's like with the idea of an essential or something that really sets the mood great for some kind of summery vibe.
I think a good.
Feel free to write in the comments.
A good song which kind of thematically is not very summery. It's about an almost catastrophe in Detroit. I'll not get into it right now, but we almost lost Detroit. The clue is in the title, by Jill Scott-Heron and Brian Jackson. That song is a complete contrast to its actual thematic, but it's so smooth, so laid back, and even especially the keyboard in the background. It's like floating on a warm summer breezy day.
Yeah.
I think many soul and disco classics easily fall into this category.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like Funkadelic. Which one did I put once in a playlist? Let me see.
I'm kind of.
Can you get to that?
Can you get it? Can you get to that?
Yeah, it's also cool to listen to.
I wanna know you can get to that. Oh, however those lyrics go, I can never tell. I can never remember. I can always tell. I'm not stupid.
Also, which I like for summer is "The Man in Me" by Bob Dylan.
That's a good song. Yeah, it's a good feel good song. It's kind of a song which is kind of well known, but actually isn't. If you talk about Bob Dylan, you never really say that song, right? But it's been in.
Everyone's heard it, kind of.
It's been in Big Lebowski. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
There was
and also How I Met Your Mother, they caricaturized that scene where he flies through the sky, also in one of their episodes. They also played the same song.
La, 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 la. Yeah.
Lots of them. Walk on the Wild Side, Lou Reed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. Yeah.
So, I think we're looking forward to the summer outside this year in smaller groups. I think that's also going to be a cool summer, that we don't have to not forced to go on these parties all the time.
I hate parties.
Parties.
Well.
Yeah, but sometimes I think that you miss out on summer itself during the summer because of certain things.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there are a lot more events going on.
You kind of
during the summer.
Don't take the bull by its horns and kind of. And afterwards, you kind of, I should have gone swimming more. I should have gone out to the nature more. No, it's actually a good summer to do all that kind of stuff.
That's the only thing we can basically do with other people. Yeah.
Alex, what do you think? Is this? Are we done for today? I think we have only like 1.5 minutes left. Should we do this outro and then call it a day?
Let's. This is a day.
Okay.
Call it a day.
We'll call this a day. Hey, this fucking episode is a day. Okay?
Chop!
Okay. I think we will start with you. No, wait. Do I start or you? I started the first one.
I think. Yeah. Let me start.
Okay.
I'll just start, okay? People.
Need.
More.
Time.
To.
Elaborate.
On.
Themes.
That.
Complicate.
I think we all know.
What the end of this sentence means.
Whoa,
Damn,
we
son.
finish each other's.
Damn, son.
You look like such a happy couple. Yeah, we even finish our own.
Sentences.
Classic sitcom joke for a couple about to break up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's it.
Then peace.
Peace out,
everybody.
See you next time. Keep on rocking. Don't forget to rock. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.